Hey guys, this is John Maxwell with Next Level Fishing and Camping. Today I want to talk about how I rig my Texas and Carolina rig. This is my second year, start my second year of serious bass fishing. And throughout my first year, I took bits and pieces of what more experienced fishermen have told me to do when they set theirs up. And I've created my own formula, so to speak, on what works best for me. And confidence is the #1 rule of fishing. You have to feel confidence in your equipment, your lure, the setup that you're using, and this is what I feel confident with. Will this work for you? Maybe, maybe not. But there may be something in this video that you can adapt to your technique to boost your confidence and help you catch fish better. So, while I'm entering my second year of serious bass fishing, I thought I would share this as a novice recreational fisherman, share the tips that I've used and what works for me and what gives me that confidence to go out there and catch a good sized fish. So first thing I'm going to tell you is there's a couple of similarities that I use on these rigs. #1, I use a braided line. This is 30-pound braided line. And I use a heavy action rod. Now, last year on my Texas rig, I fished with a 6.5 foot heavy rod. I've been fishing 3 or 4 times this year, and I switched to a 7-foot heavy rod to try it on my Texas rig. And right now, I'm not liking the 7-foot as much as I am the 6.5 foot. I think that my casts are more accurate with a 6.5 foot. And usually, when I'm fishing with my Texas rig, the deepest I go is 10 to 15 foot. And I'm in coves where accuracy is important. Where you want to throw your worm or your plastic, whatever you're using, next to a log. While I feel I get a better hook set with a 7-foot rod, I feel that what I lose in accuracy is not worth what I gain in hook set. So I'm going to keep on using this 7-foot rod for a little while longer, and I may go back to a 6.5 foot. But there are some other things that I like about on my Texas rig. #1, I like the bait cast reel. The bait cast reel for me, once I learned how to use it, and I've already done a video on that, it is worth the time and effort to learn how to use one of these because you are more accurate with your cast. You can do more things with this. There are times when a bait cast reel is not what you need, and you need a spin cast reel. And those are with lighter lures, worms without weight, small crankbaits, small spinners. But also on my Texas rig, the way I like to rig it up when I'm doing this, on my Texas rig, I use a bullet weight. Different weights depending on what I want to do. But I also use a glass bead that goes through the middle of it before my hook. Now, I've been told when you use a glass bead, you need to use a brass weight. And what you're doing is you're trying to gain the attention of that fish. You're doing everything you can to get his attention. The brass weights cleaning up against this glass ball, this glass bead, they make a little ting. And it is a different frequency than what if you used a lead bullet weight or something like that. And the fish hear that frequency better. This has worked for me, and so I've chose when I use a glass bead, I use a brass weight. But I use a heavy. I have found out that when you use a braided line and you use a heavy rod, heavy action rod, you can feel what's down on the under the water better. It gives you a better feel of what's down there. Rocks, grass, stumps, limbs, and also the braided line. You do fish around a lot of stumps, things like that would cut other lines. The braided line is a tougher line. The braided line does help me feel down there as I drag it across or bump it across the bottom, what's down there better. And this is the setup that I have chosen. When I've cast it out there, I let it fall, and then I give it a bounce and pull it back, and I reel it in, reel my line tight. I'll let it sit there, and I'll give it a bounce again. And I don't know if you can hear this on the camera or not, but I can hear the glass bead and the brass weight making a little ting. It's kind of like you're ringing a dinner bell, saying, come here and get dinner. This has worked great for me. Like I said, this may not be the best setup for you. This may not give you the most confidence, but this is what works for me. I've caught a lot of fish on it in the past year, and I'm going to continue to use this. The only difference I may make is go back to a 6.5 foot rod because of accuracy. But I am sold on the bait cast reel, the heavy action rod, and the braided line. That works great for me. Now let's talk about the Carolina rig. On my Carolina rig, on my Texas rig, I usually fish no deeper than 10, maybe 15 foot. And I'm usually in a cove or tight quarters in shallow water where accuracy counts. But when I get to the 10 to 15 foot level or deeper, I go with a Carolina rig. Usually I'm in open water, and accuracy doesn't count that much. So on my Carolina rigs, I always use a heavy set rod. I stick with a 7 foot because I feel I do get a better hook set when one bites it. And accuracy is not as important. I use my braided line just like I do on my Texas rig because it helps me feel what's down there underneath me. But I use a spin cast reel when I use my Carolina rig. The reason I do that is because accuracy is not an issue anymore, and for me it's distance. And a spin cast reel gives you more distance. There's less drag. The eye is even bigger, so that there's less drag as it comes off the reel. Now let's talk about setup for a second. It's basically the same thing in a lot of ways. This is my Carolina rig. Like I said, I use my Texas rig in shallow waters, close quarters, all the way all the way down to 10, maybe 15 foot. And then I switch to the Carolina rig. On my Carolina rig, it's a little bit different. It does still have the braided line. It's a heavy set rod, just like I said, a heavy action rod, and 7 foot. But I use a bigger weight. I'm going down to deeper depths. I use 2 glass beads instead of 1, which is another tip I picked up from another angler. But they also make these what they call clickers. And this is just simply a brass washer that goes in between the 2 beads that goes here by the weight. Then I get a little deal and I tie it on the end of my braided line. And then I go to a completely different line, like a monofilament or something like that, a clear line. And this is your leader. And my leader is usually anywhere from 2 foot to 1.5 foot, somewhere around in through there. And then I tie my worm on it, or my hook, and then I put my plastic on my hook. Now, I retrieve my Carolina rig a little bit different than I do my Texas rig. And sometimes I'll bounce it like I do my Texas rig. But a lot of times I use a sweeping action and reel it in as I come back and sweep back across and reel it in, and I let it drag across the bottom. Something else I do, and I don't know that you're going to be able to see this, when I use plastics, I use a little glass tube that you can buy at the bait shop or tackle store, wherever you get your bait, your tackle, or whatever. They make these little glass tubes that have little metal beads in them. Makes a sound when you move your bait. And the tip I want to share about these that I have found out that works for me. Now I had to find this out on my own. There wasn't anybody that told me this. These little glass beads have a rounded end and they have a pointed end. And the pointed end you naturally insert first into whatever lure you're using. But I take the pointed end and I put it in my bait, and the rounded end is always facing my line, because that's the way I pull it. And what I have found out is that if you reverse it and you have the rounded end pointed towards the back of the fish, that the pressure while you're dragging this will allow this glass bead to work out. And next thing you know, you've got a bait without a glass bead. But if you take it, like I said, and you insert it with the point going towards the back of the bait, it will stay in a whole lot better. So, like I said, for the past year, I've got into bass fishing pretty serious. I'm one of these guys that's all in or all out. And I've taken bits and pieces of what more experienced anglers have tried to teach me, and I've worked with it, and I've come up with a system that gives me confidence to catch fish. And I hope some ways the information that I'm sharing with you, the wisdom that was passed on down to me, will help you, whether you set one completely up like this or whether it was just a small detail. I hope you catch a lot of fish. And I hope by watching this video that somehow, some way, we've helped you take your game to the next level.